Hey y'all, welcome to Paige's Perspective, where I help you find your inner strength to cope with life. If you listened to our episode that dropped this week with Dr. Taylor, you may have heard him mention an unpopular opinion on how he believes happiness is a choice. And I really want to dig into this week and share my perspective. But first, I want to shout out to the Independently Strong, aka Wheelie University students. So we have a weekly community call every Wednesday, and I have witnessed so much growth in those working the program. It is absolutely amazing to watch, and it makes my heart so freaking happy to see them take control of their lives. Guys, like growth and change and all of these things, it is hard. It is really, really difficult, but they are doing all the things, and that is a way of choosing happiness. Keep going, y'all. Keep doing the work. I see you. It's a beautiful thing. All right, so now on to the topic. Yeah, happiness is a choice, but it may look different depending on where you are in life and what your relationship looks like. There's a lot of factors that go into this, but I'm just gonna talk a little bit about it. I could go on for days on this topic because it's something that I have heard for many years and things that I've dealt with for many years. And it depends on the situation, but I'll get there. You'll figure it out. We'll see where we can go with this. Bear with me. I'm not talking very well today, but hey, I'm just going to roll with it. Happiness isn't the goal. And I've said this before. I said this in my previous episode. We can't always be happy. And I know we say it all the time. Like I see it all the time where it's like, I just want my kids to be happy, or I just want to be happy, or I want to be happy in life. I want to be happy in my relationships. I want to be happy, happy, happy. But let's shift this a bit. Reality isn't about being happy. It's actually about regulating our emotions. And we have to teach our kids this. Like we need to teach them that they can't be happy all the time and that happiness isn't, the goal. Kids actually need a little bit of adversity. And I'm not talking about toxicity. They need a safe space, obviously, but we all go through things and we all have to learn to cope and deal with things. That's just life. It's not, rainbows and unicorns all the time. We're not meant to make our kids happy. We're not meant to make ourselves happy. We're not meant to make anybody happy. I was reading this morning, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And there was a sentence that was stated, and he said, I've always believed that parents are not for leaning upon, but rather exist to make leaning unnecessary. So yeah, we need to provide a safe space for our kids, but that doesn't mean we make them happy all the time. Like I said, we can't make anyone happy. That's just not how it works. Life isn't a movie. It's not fairy tales. We've got to allow our kids and people and our partners, anybody, we got to allow them to feel their feels. We can validate them and let them know that we're there for them and support them. Okay, so this episode this episode is about choosing happiness. So I want to get back to that. And maybe one day I'll have a parenting episode, but the reason I don't discuss it too much is because I don't know how my parenting is going to work out in the end. My kids are still young. They're 12 and 10 and they're thriving. I mean, we have a pretty stable household, I would say. We deal with problems as they occur. We don't just try to make them happy. I actually throw things their way that, I have them walk out in the rain. I won't take, something that, recently my kid called me in the morning and he's like, hey, can you bring me a blanket and a book and a flashlight? Because this is, we're supposed to have that today. And last year I took it to him, but this year he decided, all right, I can just call mom and she's going to bring it to me. And I really thought hard about this because my instinct, I'm just thinking, all right, I need to take this to him. Let's take it to him. What's going to hurt him? But then I was also like, this is the little bit of adversity that I believe that children need, is that I can't always be there to make them happy. Sometimes they just got to deal with what comes at them. And, he had to deal with that. I couldn't bring it to him in the moment anyway. I had stuff going on. It just wasn't in the cards for me. But also I was like, this is just kind of a learning experience for him. But anyway, I'm not going to get on that topic very much. Maybe one day we'll discuss it. I'm just not there yet. But let's get back to this topic. Happiness is what happiness as a choice means to me is that we have the power to make decisions every day that are going to lead us to a more content life. It's not about waking up and saying, okay, today I choose to be happy, or I'm just going to change my thoughts and I'll be happy. Even though this actually works sometimes, like when I know there is nothing big or there's not like a huge problem in my life to be upset about. When I was going through my healing journey, after I lost my mind and I hit my rock bottom in my mental health, I did have the mentality of waking up and choosing happiness because I had been waking up angry every day and I didn't really have a reason to be angry. Everything was just coming out. I was very overwhelmed and the things that I held in for years before were just coming out, and I was tired of feeling that way. My reality was fine. Things in my life were going great. We were stable. My marriage was going great. The kids were in school and doing great. And I realized that I was the only one that was holding me back. No one was going to save me from this anger. I had to do it myself. And this is where gratitude and choosing to be happy came into play. I had to train my brain to choose happiness, one day at a time. Sure, I still had emotions that would come and go. Like, that's freaking life. We're not going to be happy at every moment of the day. That is just so unrealistic. But I didn't allow like all of the emotions to consume me. I would let them go through me and then I would move on. But I did have in the back of my mind, like, okay, you can choose happiness today. That's all right. We'll handle things as they come. And I didn't overanalyze all of the, uncomfortable emotions. I don't really like to say negative because they're just emotions. They're just there. They just are. But a lot of them weren't the anger that was like coming up all the time. It wasn't serving a purpose for me. Because like I said, things were stable in my life, and being overwhelmed, that didn't excuse me from being an ass. Like, I was being a jerk. So I was choosing happiness. Saying to choose happiness is what helped saved me a bit, and it helped me see my reality more clearly. All right, but let's back it up a bit, and let's say that you are still in a one-sided relationship, and waking up to choose happiness and ignoring your feelings may not be the best idea. Your anger, your sadness, your overwhelmed feelings, they're understandable. They're valid. They're there for a reason. They're trying to tell you something. But choosing happiness here, to me, means that you begin taking steps that align with your values that will provide more happiness over time or in the future. And it's not about turning a blind eye and saying, I choose to be happy today. What can I do to bring me joy today? I mean, you can do that and still make decisions that align with your values. Acting. Choosing happiness is an act. It's acting yourself into right thinking. We can't think ourselves into right acting. It takes effort and intention. Our thoughts are very powerful. So choosing happiness in a one-sided relationship can feel like a contradiction, especially when the environment is, full of negativity. It's full of manipulation. There's a power imbalance. So choosing happiness doesn't necessarily mean forcing joy where it doesn't belong. It's about reclaiming your power and deciding what happiness looks like for you, even in these difficult circumstances. So here's what I mean. Let's break this down a little bit. Shift your focus to what you can control. We discuss this all the time. It's not about what you can't control. Focus on what you can control. And in a lot of these relationships, so much of our energy goes into managing the other person's behavior or anticipating their next move or learning about them, figuring them out, overanalyzing them. But choosing happiness means stepping away from that cycle and focusing on your own actions, your own thoughts, and your own emotions, because those are things that you can control. So instead of trying to fix your partner or focus on them or figure out what the hell they're doing, turn it around. Focus on healing yourself. That's where you're going to bring happiness into your life. And then find the small moments of peace. We talk about peace all the time and what that means. And, reading, exercising, connecting with friends, the self-care, the things that I talk about all the time. It's something that I mention probably every week because that's the baseline of healing and being the person that you want to be. This is going to remind you that life is more important. It's actually not more important. I'll say that life is more than the relationship that you're in. It's more like when we're in these relationships that are not balanced, you lose your identity. You lose what life is really about, and it consumes you. So when you start shifting your focus onto you and what you want out of life, it just helps you see more clearly. And that when you see more clearly, when you have that clarity, you're going to gain the strength to decide what your next steps are instead of just sitting in it and trying to change the other person or trying to fix the relationship. When you take that focus back onto you, you'll realize that it's not about fixing the relationship. It's not about fixing your partner. It's not really about fixing you necessarily. It's just about choosing happiness and what you want in your life. And when we see the phrase choose happiness, it kind of seems impossible. It might feel impossible. Sometimes it feels like a cruel joke. I remember when Matt used to say happiness is a choice. Honestly, it used to piss me off. It used to make me so mad because I'm like, that's bullshit. Happiness is not a choice. Like, I can't help the way I feel, all these things, blah, blah, blah. But I've realized over time and over healing and over education and all these things that I've been going through and all the tools that I've learned through this life is that choosing happiness is so much deeper than that. So how can you choose happiness when everything around you feels like shit or feels heavy or chaotic or, you feel like you're out of control? The truth is you don't. Happiness isn't the goal here. The goal is clarity. It's self-respect. It's peace. It's living a more content life. Those are the building blocks of something deeper, something steadier than the highs of happiness. There is a time for happiness, y'all. Happiness is an emotion. It's something that we feel, but it's not the goal. It's not something that we need to feel all the time. So I kind of think of this in a way. Okay, this is just me rambling a little bit. I didn't even have this on my sheet. Those in active addiction, you know what makes them happy? Using. That's what makes them happy. It brings them a high. They keep chasing that high. They keep chasing that happiness. But it's not good for them. It's not reality. It doesn't help anybody. It harms the relationship. It harms themselves. It harms their children. So chasing happiness isn't the goal. Authenticity is. Like I said, happiness is nice. It feels good. Everyone wants to feel good, but not all the time. Feeling good all the time there's going to be consequences because what goes up must come down. And if we're just chasing that happiness all the time, like within the relationship, or if it's, one-sided, that can typically just come in as a Band-Aid that is over, a gunshot wound, over something that's way more deep. And you can force the happy moments, but if they come at the cost of your authenticity, like laughing when you're hurting. Yes, we can laugh when we hurt. That's not like, I'm not saying that you never need to laugh, but when you feel like, okay, I just can't laugh right now, but you're faking it, or forgiving what isn't forgivable, that's empty. That's not being authentic. And choosing happiness often gets twisted into tolerating the intolerable. So instead of choosing happiness, choose authenticity. Say, this is where I am, and I don't have to pretend I'm okay with it. Again, you're not chasing happiness. You're building stability. We all just want stability. Deep down, we want authenticity. We want stability. We want to be able to regulate our emotions and handle life as it's being thrown at us. We want to be resilient. And unhealthy relationships, or toxic relationships, or unequal relationships, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm talking about here. They thrive on instability. 1 minute you're up, the next minute you're down. It's exhausting. It's like a roller coaster ride. And the happiness and the authenticity can't grow in chaos. So again, focus on creating a stability for yourself instead of chasing that happiness. That's going to be the self-care. That's going to be setting boundaries. That's going to be carving out moments of peace. Even when you feel like you can't have them, you've got to make them. Meditate, breathe, call a friend, journal, walk, do the things that ground you. And the stability is not going to solve all of your problems, but it is going to give you that space to breathe. It's going to give you that space where you can find clarity. And that's where you're going to begin to grow. Now, the next part I'm going to discuss is stop faking it. Okay. And I know I've talked about fake it till you make it. I know this is completely different. We are very gray area thinkers here. We are going to say one thing and another thing, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what are you trying to do to me? You are making my head spin. But I promise you, like, it all goes together whenever you think about it at a deeper level. So when I say stop faking it, this is one of the hardest truths about these types of relationships, is that you can't positive your way out of them. The toxic positivity that we've talked about before, pretending to be happy to keep the peace, or pretending you're okay when you're unraveling inside. That's not choosing happiness. That's actually self-betrayal. Don't, or choosing to stop faking it. This is not like selfish. This is actual survival. It's not saying like, I'm not here to manage your feelings at the expense of my own. That's what you are saying. We've got to stop self-sabotaging ourselves whenever we fake it. Now, again, this is how you address these things, or how you feel and how you become assertive instead of aggressive. These are all communication skills that I could dig deep into on another episode at some point. We even have it in our course. But when I talk about stop faking it, this is what I'm talking about. Don't pretend to be happy just to keep the peace. Don't pretend to be okay when things are rough. You have to feel your feels in order to get through them. Focus on peace and contentment. Peace is quiet. It's steady. It's what you feel when you stop fighting battles that don't matter. And, when you stop clinging to some things that drain you. It could be a relationship. It could be something at work. It could be just something that it just drains you. And when we think about happiness is kind of dramatic in a way, because it's super high. It's like fireworks. It makes you feel really, really good. But peace isn't necessarily like that. Peace is like contentment. It's for the foundation of, but it's actually, I'm sorry, let me back up for just a moment. It's the foundation for a life where real happiness might eventually happen. That's where peace comes in. You've got to ask yourself, what's going to bring me peace today? What will bring me peace right now? What can I let go of that's making me feel stuck? Dig deep into that and choose yourself. When people say choose happiness, what they're really meaning, or what they really mean to say is, choose yourself, choose authenticity, not some version of you who's constantly bending or appeasing or second guessing, or, this is the real you. Choose you, the one who knows deep down that this isn't what you want out of life right now. You know these things. You know what your instincts are saying. Trust them, believe them. They're there for a reason. Choosing yourself means letting go of the fantasy that, things will magically change, or refusing to engage in manipulative games. I'm going to have another episode on manipulation at some point, because I feel like a lot of the times we don't know how to recognize manipulation. And I think that it would benefit a lot of listeners to kind of go through what it means and what it looks like, and how we can get through it, and how we can take our part and not engage into it. Because if I know me, I knew I used to get sucked into these games all the time. The manipulation is so easy. It was so easy for me to get sucked into. So, okay, that's another topic. I'm going to go down another freaking hole. So another way to choose yourself is being honest with yourself and about what you need. And that's scary. Sometimes it can be scary, because you know what you need. You know what you need. You know deep down what you need. And it's scary because it goes against what you think you need. But that can be a beautiful thing. So choosing happiness in an unhealthy relationship or whatever isn't about slapping on a smile and pretending that everything's fine. It's about choosing clarity over confusion, the peace over the chaos, self-respect over people-pleasing. And it's not the goal, but the life you build when you stop chasing happiness, that's where the real magic begins. It's when you start becoming you. It's when you start taking care of yourself. You start figuring out your values. You start doing these things, and that is going to bring happiness. So yes, happiness is a choice. It is something you can control. It is in your power. It can be empowering, because you're like, you know what? I can choose happiness. I can choose to live well. I can choose to be stable. It's living authentically and by your values. So what can you do today to choose happiness? And what does it mean to you? that's your journal prompt. That's your next journal prompt. Or if you would like, go to the TUFO community on Facebook and share. Share about what happiness means to you. What does it mean to choose that? That can be part of the self-care challenge that we currently have going on in the group, because we are doing a giveaway on December 13th. Yes, it's Friday the 13th. I chose that for a reason. And it's going to be for somebody who's been participating in the challenge within this last month, I believe. We're giving away a TUFO t-shirt, a TUFO hat, and a couple of stickers. So I know I probably rambled a lot on this one. I went a little off of my script. I'm trying to change things up a bit. But that's all I have this week. Until next time, I'm Paige. Bye.